Once upon a time, in a galaxy far, far away, a group of photons, particles of light or light waves, were emitted. Those photons embarked on a journey of billions of years and of thousands of billion kilometers across the universe towards the Earth. After their long journey through space and time, our photons met with some of the most advanced technology any intelligent species that we know of, that's us, has engineered: telescopes. I'm talking about the South African Radio Astronomy Observatory's MeerKAT radio telescope near Carnarvon in the Northern Cape. MeerKAT is among the most powerful radio telescopes in the world and a first step to the SKA, the Square Kilometre Array. I'm also talking about the MeerKAT telescope at the South African Astronomical Observatory in Sutherland, also in the Northern Cape. MeerKAT is dedicated to imaging the same part of the sky that MeerKAT is looking at. This is where the journey of scientific investigation starts. In the MeerKAT, where the radio photons hit the telescope, they are turned into a digital signal and amplified. This raw data is rushed to the correlator in the Karoo Array Processing Building. This is an underground supercomputer that is designed to combine the signals from all 64 antennae of the telescope. This is then rushed to Cape Town on the South African National Research Network, the optic fibre network that connects the national research facilities. The data comes to the Centre for High Performance Computing, where the South African Radio Astronomy Observatory has another set of computers. There, quality control is done on the data, and from there it is released to the scientists for further processing, analysis, and scientific discovery. What you will see today comes from the mighty experiment on MeerKAT, which seeks to understand how galaxies evolve, but more about that later. The first data for this experiment has now been delivered to the Inter-University Institute for Data Intensive Astronomy. The MeerKAT telescope is a unique telescope that looks in the same direction as MeerKAT at the same time, but is sensitive to visible light instead of radio waves. This means it captures the same colors of light that our eyes can see. When the photons of optical light are captured by MeerKAT, they also travel as data to the Inter-University Institute for Data Intensive Astronomy. The more powerful the telescopes, the bigger the data, and the more data-intensive the science. The Inter-University Institute for Data Intensive Astronomy, also known as IDIA, is a partnership of 3 universities: the Universities of Cape Town, of the Western Cape, and of Pretoria. IDIA has built a computer infrastructure that it has made available to its partners to process the very big data that comes out of scientific instruments like the MeerKAT telescope. IDIA has built a research cloud computing for big data in science. In preparation for MeerKAT, the IDIA Research Cloud has been deployed, tested, and its performance critically evaluated. From the outside, a research cloud looks a lot like computers inside cupboards with a whole lot of cables and flashing lights. This is usually in a big room buzzing not from the computers so much as from the cooling systems to keep the mega calculators in working order. What happens behind these metallic cupboard doors is hinted at by the flashing lights. Bits of data carried across, combined, added, subtracted, subjected to lengthy computations, hopping between memory, also called storage, to the electronic chips, also called processors, that carry out the calculations before sending the result back to memory. Often, the processors themselves carry out many operations simultaneously. At the time of recording, the IDIA system is 48,000 times more powerful than the fastest supercomputer in the world in 1995, the Cray 2, which was used by the likes of NASA to send people to space. The storage capacity for data of the IDIA Research Cloud is also vast. It is equivalent to a 223-meter-high tower of DVDs. That is about a third of the way up to Table Mountain from the lower cable station in DVDs. To build astronomical images, what we call a data cube, calculations are applied to the data streams coming from the telescope. Each dimension of the data cube measures something. We are used to those dimensions representing directions in space, but scientists often look at other things too, like different colors in visible light, for example. Now that the IDIA Research Cloud has been used to process the data, let us look at some of the images from the telescopes. This is an image of our beautiful night sky captured by MeerKAT and processed on the IDIA Research Cloud. Let us zoom in to an apparently innocuous object in the image. Here. Just above the smudge you can see, there is a galaxy. Now, let us take a look at what it looks like with MeerKAT. Wow! Doesn't that look different? What we are seeing here, we believe, is created by a massive black hole at the center of that galaxy. Most galaxies have massive black holes at their center. This black hole is gobbling up the material of the galaxy around it ferociously. In doing so, it creates extremely powerful jets of material streaming out from the center at close to the speed of light, the ultimate limit of speed according to Einstein's theory of general relativity. These jets are visible to a powerful enough radio telescope. Let us take a look at another one. As you can see here, these jets can extend far beyond what appears to be the extent of the host galaxy. This is one way of seeing the direct influence that activity in a galaxy can have on its intergalactic surroundings. If there are any other galaxies in the vicinity, on astronomical scales that is, then they will influence one another through gravity and through those jets. Here we see two rather faint smudges in the optical image, but MeerKAT sees this bright shape. At the time of recording, we are not sure what this is, but what is certain is that it is very exciting for scientists. Maybe these are jets that are curved because of the gravity of other galaxies nearby. Maybe it's something else. If this is part of a group of galaxies, what we call a cluster, it will harbor very complex dynamic interactions. These objects are thousands of billion kilometers away from here, yet we can study them, and thus the adventure of scientific discovery begins. Looking at objects in space with different telescopes is like looking at them with different eyes, each able to see different aspects of what is going on. Combining those eyes offers astronomers a very powerful gaze into the intimate processes of the universe and helps science leap forward. IDIA's computer cloud is not the biggest in the world, but it is tailored to process really big data from radio telescopes like MeerKAT. Indeed, it is not possible anymore to have data on these scales sitting on one's lab computer. These datasets are just too big. They have to live in the cloud. Most importantly, the IDIA Cloud Computing Facility allows researchers, wherever they are, to use their own tools to process data on unprecedented scales. Scientists use computer algorithms to build analysis pipelines, turning data into images, and to analyze and visualize the data to create new knowledge. On the IDIA Research Cloud, they can deploy pipelines and analytics that they have already built and run special programs to visualize and explore the data. And this is one of the goals of the Institute. The IDIA Cloud technology democratizes high-performance computing and makes big data accessible to researchers anywhere. Now imagine what doors that opens up for researchers in IDIA partner universities. And now, imagine what opportunities it creates for current and future students to work on data like that. Researchers are asking profound science questions. Here are some of those that data analysis performed on the IDIA Research Cloud will help answer. How do galaxies form, and how do they evolve? How do stars in galaxies form in different environments and at different times? Looking at very distant galaxies, the MeerKAT project seeks to understand better how galaxies form and evolve over the history of the universe. Of particular interest are active centers of galaxies, where surrounding material falls into supermassive black holes, creating radiation that can outshine the billions of stars in the entire galaxy. MeerKAT will also seek to understand how magnetic fields emerge on cosmic scales and within galaxies. In the early universe, almost everything was hydrogen, the simplest element. All the matter we can see today in stars, gas, galaxies evolved out of that primordial hydrogen. The MONGOOSE study will be mapping hydrogen gas in relatively nearby galaxies. Hydrogen gas is nearly everywhere in the universe, and for the first time, it will be mapped with incredible accuracy, unveiling intimate details of galactic and stellar phenomena. The MeerKAT is so sensitive that MONGOOSE should be able to detect the very thin hydrogen gas connection between galaxies and the vast cosmic web, only seen so far in simulations. Because it is found everywhere, the hydrogen gas can be used as a probe to investigate what cannot be seen directly, like dark matter. The presence of dark matter in galaxies disturbs the hydrogen gas, and this will be looked into by the MONGOOSE project. While MONGOOSE is looking at hydrogen nearby, the LADUMA team is looking at hydrogen in the distant universe, which is the same as saying as long ago as possible, because of the time that light takes to reach us from so far away. What happens to hydrogen gas far away and long ago? The LADUMA study tackles that question by looking at how hydrogen gas was distributed nearly 8 billion years ago, when the universe was less than half its current age. This is what we call a deep survey. Galaxies don't just form and evolve in isolation. Gravity is everywhere, and if there is a massive galaxy nearby, another galaxy will feel its attractive force. Interacting galaxies are, as I'm sure you can imagine, extremely complex processes with different effects on gas, stars, dark matter, magnetic fields, and more. Now imagine this for more than 2 galaxies. When a group of galaxies are bound together by gravity, it is called a cluster. Fornax is one such cluster that the MeerKAT telescope can see very well. The Fornax survey will study that cluster, the interactions between the cluster's galaxies, and what happens to the intergalactic material. What are some of the most powerful explosions in the universe? It is one thing to look at the state of things in the universe. It is another to catch the radiation coming from a cosmic explosion. Light from such events shines, and then it fades. This is what we call a transient event. Some of the most violent explosions in the universe are not yet fully understood. They take place in conditions of temperature, pressure, gravity, acceleration, and more, at the extremes of known physics. Impossible to reproduce in a lab on Earth, explosions in these conditions are what the ThunderCat team will study, and it could well be that we find something that we have never seen before. And finally, how do black holes and exploding stars look if we can make the sharpest possible images? To answer this and other science questions, astronomers use a technique called VLBI, Very Long Baseline Interferometry. Simply put, VLBI is a technique that combines data from the largest radio telescopes around the world to create incredibly sharp images, even sharper than images captured by some of the telescopes in space. VLBI is a global effort of all radio observatories involved. MeerKAT joining this effort means that new technologies and algorithms to process VLBI data are being developed. Some are developed and run by IDIA scientists on the research cloud. It also means that the opportunity for the discovery of new science and exotic astronomical objects has increased dramatically. What will we discover when we look close enough? Each of these projects will need astronomical big data to address those questions about the universe. The Inter-University Institute for Data Intensive Astronomy will help the scientists, researchers, and students use their big data and their analysis tools to start figuring out the answers and contribute new knowledge to humanity's ever-growing quest to understand our place in this beautiful and vast universe.